Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time now for Zeb's Geezer Chair Thoughts to Ponder. Depression is merely anger without enthusiasm. And a clear conscience is usually the sign of a bad memory. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a good-looking Wednesday. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Thank you so much. And, of course, some of our great advertisers include Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. And on a beautiful, look outside, the blue sky, the sunshine. Good morning, Gina Jameson.
Well, good morning, sunshine. You caught me with my mouth full of a chocolate no-bake cookie.
How can I say anything but what else is new?
It's good.
Yeah, I can tell. Here's how she sounded this morning. Yes, it's really good. Yeah.
It is. It's delicious.
Hey, we are just a matter of a few weeks away from my favorite season, and that's baseball season. I am a baseball nut.
Really?
Yeah, I love it.
I've been into baseball.
You know, they're going to try something different this year. Brand new rules.
They're going to actually try and make the game more interesting?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Hey, okay, then I might be interested.
No, they're going to speed it up. They're actually going to be using a time clock.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. And if a hitter at the plate steps out of the batter's box, fine city.
Really?
Yeah. You got to keep 1 foot in the...
Like step out of the batter's box?
No, not in between pitches and walk around, take a stroll to the park, go get a bag of peanuts or whatever. No, you got to keep 1 foot in the batter's box and be ready because it's on a time clock because Mr. Man on the mound is going to start throwing at you.
Well, you know, I think that's a great idea because one of my complaints about baseball is so slow.
Well, the pros have taken advantage of it too, and I'll be the first to say that I would love to see a bunch of these guys get fined and have to expedite the game because, you know, some cases, if it's not a great pitcher's duel or the World Series, it can turn into a yawner.
Well, I can understand, you know, taking your time because it's all about the mental psych out. Yeah. I get that point. But then, of course, you've got people like me who've got the remote clicker and are going to click past you.
Yeah, and, you know, in some games, and I don't want to beleaguer this point here because we're running late, but in some games you could click over to another show, get the gist of that show, and come back and not miss a pitch.
It's true.
Yes.
So true.
All right, do we have a pledger?
Me, you, or Michael?
I think I'll have you do it, please.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ooh, that was good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Gina. And right now it's time for the weather, brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Give them a call. Hey, gals, don't forget they're going to have another girls' night out this Friday night, the 6th. You call and get registered. It's going to be all about crafts, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and they're going to have snacks. 678-6945. Everything to make your house a home, all the home decor items, everything at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And right now, here's Michael with the weather.
It's 20 above in beautiful downtown Murtaugh. The good news, well, we got good news and good news. Good news is going to be sunny all the way through Sunday. The good news also is that the temperatures are going to start to warm up. Should see 60 by Sunday, Saturday. Should be pretty nice. So basically, it gets boring from here. Sunny today, 43 for the high, 29 for the overnight low. And you got sunny and clear skies all the way through the week. And once again, you'll start to warm up. Start to warm up tomorrow. 51 for the high tomorrow. 55 for the high day after tomorrow. Nice weather to enjoy baseball. They're not going to speed it up, but that's my opinion. This is America. Enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
Well, I disagree with you, Michael. They are going to speed it up, or there's going to be some hefty fines.
They're not going to speed it up. The pitcher takes too long to throw the turn.
No, they're going to be on a time clock, Michael. Read the new rules and regulations, and then also come back on the weather and apologize.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Weather can't read.
Okay, thanks, buddy. All right, Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, and they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 10 to 4, and you stop and look for the blue door. You know, it's going to be interesting to follow up a little bit more on that time clock. They basically, the Major League Baseball has said that they're going to utilize the first month of April as kind of a test case, and they're going to start warning people, and they're going to say, hey, get in the batter's box, stay there. They're going to make everybody aware of that time clock and everything, and then on May 1st, the next month, then they're going to start imposing the fines. They figure that first month with kind of a test balloon ought to be enough to get everybody aware of what's going on. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Go to the light, go to the light. Yes, there it is. We can see the light in the darkness. It's over at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They've got all your light bulbs. I mean, hey, 15 to 100 watts, and they got all of them. I mean, man, I'm talking about the halogen bulbs, the CFLs, the fluorescent lights. They've got everything to go to the light. Absolutely. At Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And by the way, too, don't forget, if you want to call ahead at 678-0459, they'll have it waiting for you on the counter if you're in a hurry to zip in, zip out, and go. You better believe it. 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Real quick, too, our friends over at Valleywine Home and Ranch. Howdy! How you doing over there at 910 South Oneida in Rupert? Well, Minnie Pearl with the price tag on her hat. Anyway, remember, don't forget, I should have said. Good heavens, get the right word there. Chick Days is going to be here before you know it. And holy cow, here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick running all over the floor, behind the counter, up on the walls. They're all over the place. Chick Days at Valleywide Home and Ranch. And they've got all the material for Chick Days, too. The feeders and the waterers and the housing and the fencing, everything. And don't forget, too, they've got all the livestock feed for your nutritional demands for all your livestock right there at Valleywine Home and Ranch. Really good folks, Sean, Mandy, everybody over there at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see them today. It was rude. Caller, I'm going to take your call, and then I'm going to get into our subject matter for this morning. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yeah, Doug.
Hey, did you see the list of the representatives that voted for the immigration bill?
Doug, speak up. Doug, you're talking way too low. You're not coming through.
Okay. Did you see the list of 75 Republicans that voted to fund the DHS and the immigration?
You know, I did not see that list yet, and I apologize. I've had some other things come up that I didn't do a little bit of my homework, so help me out a little bit.
Well, one representative from Idaho's on it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Which one?
Guess which one?
Oh, I can't imagine. His name doesn't start with S, does it?
Yes, it does.
I figured that.
Yes. And I just called his office. I'd like everybody in Idaho to call his office and tell them how they feel about what he's done.
You know, Doug, you're in a subject here that I've really got to watch my temper, and especially after what happened a month ago, I got to watch my blood pressure. I was extremely happy, and I'll be the first to admit it on the air or when I'm giving a speech someplace, anywhere, that in the midterm elections, the Republicans won. And you know what? I'm going to be very blunt about this. Now I'm not so sure. I thought they had more class. I thought they had more guts, and I thought that they would try to really turn things around for the American public instead of being a bunch of puppets on string and wire that's being led by Obama and Soros and everybody else. They aren't doing their job.
And that's true. And that's exactly what I've told them back there. I said, you guys are a bunch of candies. I said, what happened in November? And the people, well, I said, look what Republicans gained in the House. Look what we gained in the Senate.
Yep.
What happened back there? And you guys were blamed for the shutdown, and this is what happened.
You know,
can you guys wake up and see what the American people are telling you and get off your dead rear ends and do it?
I would love to have a Republican. I don't care if they're from Idaho. I don't care if they're from Timbuktu. Stand up, and when they're being possibly interviewed for a television news segment, look at the camera and say, you know what? I don't care if I'm reelected. I am going to represent my people and the feelings of the people and their wishes. And so if they don't want to reelect me for that, that's all fine and good.
Exactly. Can we recall a representative?
I'd like to recall the whole blankety-blank works back there.
Yes, sir, I would, too.
All right, Doug, God bless you, man. Thank you.
Glad to get your blood pressure up.
Oh, you did good. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. I want to get into the subject matter at hand here in just a moment. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And our next lunch bunch, write this down, lunch bunchers, will be on the 19th. Yep, the 19th. Thursday the 19th. The 19th. Got it? Okay. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, the very best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You walk in, and the people are so nice and helpful. And, of course, now you probably knew that they've got another location to serve you at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Boy, the food is great. You're going to just have a great time. Take your friends and neighbors and relatives, everybody. Go to Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we will be there again for the March Lunch Bunch on the 19th. Also, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, Eli, the Packer backer. He's a Green Bay Packer fan, too. And he's telling me that they've got great low pricing right now on the Doosan loaders, fantastic warranties, and there's rebates, and holy smokes, they got 3 locations to serve you to help everybody in the Magic Valley get what they need. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and that new location, and holy smokes, have they got the material over there. All kinds of equipment, Coyote tractors, Walker mowers, Bobcats, Doosan loaders at the new 159 West Highway 30 location in Burley. Yep, with Nick and the crew. Berry Equipment and Rental, serving you with all of your equipment needs. Really good people. I started to say a minute ago, I have never in my life been so ashamed of politics and a president and his administration as I am now. And it's not partisan. You know, I picked apart the Republicans just a moment ago. Now I'm going to pick apart the Democrats. I think they were extremely rude. I think they were extremely unprofessional. I think they were extremely bigoted. They were extremely crass. They were extremely selfish. I can go on and on about who and what the Democrats were yesterday by not being at the congressional speech given by our number one ally in the Middle East, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu. It was absolutely childish. And any Democrat that wants to take issue with me, have at least the backbone or the stomach, or you know what it's called, starting with a G, to call me on the air and not waste my time chewing me out later on my cell phone or emails. That's the one thing about the Democrats in this area. They do not seem to have the backbone to stand up for their convictions. I have invited them on the program and they have not responded. Or if they respond, they say, oh, no, we just don't want to go on your show. No. They have no backbone to stand up for their platform or their convictions. Now, that being said, yesterday proved my point. I'm just embarrassed for the way our country treated this man. I'm embarrassed for what Nancy Pelosi did. Nancy Pelosi is absolutely a degenerate when it comes to politeness. Turning her back on Netanyahu at that speech. I mean, Nancy, you have no class. That was pathetic. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, you've taken a lot of my words right out of my mouth when you're in your dialogue there, but you know, we certainly found out who the leader of the free world was yesterday, and it's not our commander-in-chief, it's the commander-in-chief of Israel. But talk about not having any backbone. I mean, it was great that Boehner invited him over here, and I think everybody realizes how important that speech was to understand who the enemy really is in the world. But look what Boehner and company did yesterday. 75 Republicans voted along with the Democrats to fully fund illegal, unconstitutional, and executive amnesty.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Adrian, you got to respect me on this. I'm talking about the Netanyahu speech. I'm not going to get into that with the amnesty right now. That's going to be coming up later on. I'm just but just a minute. I absolutely want your opinion on how they treated Netanyahu. He didn't say anything wrong in regards to letting any ideas or goals or any part of this agreement out of the bag. He praised the Obama administration at 3 different junctures of his speech, and yet this president, this embarrassing president, sat in his office and wouldn't even listen to the speech. He had his aides take down notes.
Well, whether he watched it or not doesn't make any difference. You could tell he was really mad, and he really got showed up for who he really is and how he's dealing with the enemy of not only Israel, but of the whole free world, and even the Muslims that live over in Jordan and Egypt and so forth. I mean, Netanyahu stood up for all decent people, Christians and non-Christians alike, to take on this mess. And the one thing that needs to be brought out, they bring up this 36 years since the Iranian government. You realize what State Department under Henry Kissinger was the one that caused the Shah of Iran. He was our ally. He was actually educated in the U.S. But it was Henry Kissinger leading our State Department was the one that caused the Shah of Iran to be kicked out.
I know it.
About the Ayatollah Khomeini, who's been in exile, and we've had a bitter battle with those people that hate us and want to kill anybody that will not conform to their radical religious beliefs.
They are the evil beast of the East, and I have nothing good to say about them. Adrian, I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. I got more waiting. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody, holy smokes, about our friends over at Sophie's Chatterbox. Every Monday we ask a question at 8:31, and you might be the lucky winner of a half dozen delicious, fantabulous cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox. And don't forget, they're open 6 to 6 weekdays, 6 to 2 on weekends, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's fantastic food, and what a bakery at Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. You stop over and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. To treat an honorable person like Netanyahu the way Obama did is a national disgrace, especially in view of what he's giving somebody better trash like Al-Shot and free access to the White House.
That's a good analogy right there. That's a good one right there to talk about. I mean, here is the President of the United States acting like a spoiled little brat, staying in his White House office, staying out of sight, not doing or saying anything to welcome the Prime Minister here to this country, and absolutely acting like a, I'm going to just tell it like I feel, like a jerk, and allowing somebody with the low life capacity of Al Sharpton to have free reign of the White House, and he won't go here and listen to Netanyahu. It was despicable.
Well, you can see who the number one person in the country, the world is right now. It's Netanyahu. This guy takes fourth or fifth place.
I'm not going to... I honestly thought that Netanyahu, and whether it has any shades of helping him get reelected in Israel or not, I don't know, and I really don't care. I will say that he overshadowed any leadership, quote-unquote, in this country that I've seen with this administration, regardless of whether it's Obama, regardless of whether it's Biden or John Kerry or anybody else. That man showed some class yesterday, and I was appalled at the low-life Democrats that didn't show up.
Like a bunch of rats leaving a sinking ship.
I agree.
That's all I can describe.
I agree, Tony. Thank you so much. God bless you, man. Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye.
You know, that is so low class. It's so low class or no class on behalf of the Democrats. And some of the verbiage. Folks, I don't know if you followed up and listened to some of the speeches afterwards where they were running down Netanyahu and everything, but this ought to take the cake. If you get a chance, you need to read on the op-ed page of USA Today yesterday. Try to find this if you can. A column by Dwayne Wickham. Now, he is a black dean of Morgan State University School of Global Journalism, and he wrote this headline on his two-column story. Netanyahu disrespects not only Obama. And the whole gist of this story is that Dwayne Wickham is a black racist. He is a really bad black racist. And he played the race card and is a repulsive race baiter. Because here, I'll read a little bit of it to you before I do my break at the bottom of the hour. He said, Netanyahu has become an instrument of the GOP, which has shown a personal disrespect for Obama, his wife, and children. Since this black family moved into the building many Republicans apparently think is literally a White House. This is the kind of garbage, and this is garbage, that liberal lefts are writing, and this is a black guy that calls himself the dean of Morgan State University School of Global Journalism. Wow. Nothing but racism. Nothing. Time for Capital Press Ag Minute, and it is brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology. Can you hear this? Can you hear me? Can you? Oh, listen, you better have a hearing screening, and to do that, you better call Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. The number to call is 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and have a hearing screening with Christine Pickup at Mount Harrison Audiology. We'll tell you more right after this with the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. The North American Meat Institute has asked USDA and Department of Health and Human Services to extend the comment period for the scientific report of the 2015 Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee from 45 days to 120 days. It says more time is needed to review the report. Following the release of the report last week, the Institute registered strong concerns about what it said were the committee's contradictory recommendations to a lower amounts of red and processed meat, while at the same time saying in a footnote that lean meat can be part of a healthy, balanced diet. It also objected to the committee's focus on sustainability, which it says is outside its character. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Don't forget, about 20% of adults in the United States, that's over 48 million people, report some degree of hearing loss. So have your hearing checked with a hearing screening from Mount Harrison Audiology. And the number to call, Christine Pickup, is 312-0957. And did you hear that? Caller, I'm coming. Just a minute. Stand by. Don't go away. I promise I'll take your call. Scow's CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts. Scow's, very, very well known all through the area since 1949. In Rupert, Hayburn, and Burley, oh my goodness, every detail matters. Parts, sales, and service. And don't forget, this will probably be one of the last days that we'll remind you about signing up for that fleet filter survey. Make sure that you get all your trucks and everything lined up and on that fleet filter survey, so if something happens and you have a breakdown or whatever, you can just say truck number whatever and they can get the job done for you. And Scow's CarQuest is teamed up with Baldwin Filters, the best heavy-duty filters in the industry. Don't forget Scow's CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts in Rupert, Burley, and of course exit 211 I-84 with their big truck center. Every detail matters at Scow's. Caller, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, young man.
Yes, sir.
Got something here that I thought really hits President Obama, and I use the word reluctant. He's always drawn a line in the sand. It says the act of writing on the ground was a symbolic action well known in antiquity, signifying unwillingness to deal with the matter in hand. That don't fit into a T.
I would say it does, and that's very aptly put this morning. Thank you. Real quick, Dal, tell me this. Did you have a chance to watch any of Netanyahu's speech?
I picked up a little of it on the late news.
Okay. I thought the man was extremely respectful. I thought the man was extremely poignant in explaining what his thoughts and fears were about Iran and nuclear war. I have nothing more but great respect for what he said yesterday.
I would love to have him instead of what we got for a leader.
I agree with you. Thank you, and say hello to that lovely bride of yours, okay?
I'll do it.
All right, thank you. We got another call waiting, standby caller. You know, I want another little quote from this Dwayne Wickham story in the USA Today, and I'm so sickened by this man's racism. He said, quote, by becoming a tool of the GOP's mean-spirited war on Obama, Netanyahu has done great harm to his relationship with the president and his supporters in Congress. This is despicable how this man, Dwayne Wickham, could turn yesterday's speech in Congress with Netanyahu into a racist issue. Pathetic. And that's what the Democrats are doing. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Talk to me, caller. Go.
Sorry, I accidentally hung up the wrong phone. Here we go.
Okay. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Go ahead, Randy.
Come on, let's go. Hurry.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I got cut off. I had to call back.
Well, fine. Go ahead, Randy, please.
Sorry, Deb. They gave Netanyahu a bust of Churchill, and the symbolism was something really, if you think about it, how alone was Great Britain when Hitler was on the move? And if it wasn't for Churchill, things could have been drastically different. And the same situation is there. Can you imagine if Netanyahu is elected as Prime Minister of Israel, what kind of a situation that could leave Israel and the world and America in?
You know, my fears, I'm glad you brought that up, Randy, because my fears are such that I see that the Obama, and this is a fact, I'm not making this up, for the last couple of months, the Obama administration has had people from their administration over in Israel actually campaigning against Netanyahu for the opposition. And this is fearful to me because I think they're trying to handpick and choose who they feel they can work with and bend in the Israeli government, and I'm very afraid of Obama and what they're trying to do.
Yes.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I am. I just said I was agreeing with you.
Okay. No, your point is extremely well taken on the worries, but I thought that the way the Democrats handled this yesterday, and I don't mean to sound just partisan against the Democrats, because there were some that showed up and showed a little taste in being there, with the exception of Nancy Pelosi and Steny, I forgot his last name all of a sudden.
Hoyer.
Yeah, Steny Hoyer. They acted with such a spoiled child attitude. Nancy Pelosi, I thought, had a little dignity, but evidently she does not.
Well, this is the thing, yesterday Obama was showing up so drastically that he, the man with no conscience whatsoever, felt something. And you're right, he hid it. A child is exactly what he acted like. He's such a, he's such a child.
He's an embarrassment.
He's such an anarchist that the combination is disaster.
I agree. Randy, good to hear from you again. Take care. Have a good day, buddy. Thank you.
Bye.
Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I cringed when I listened to some of the Democrats. Some of those guys that they interviewed last night, oh my goodness, I felt sorry for their lack of intelligence. All they did is say, well, that Netanyahu was trying to play on political theater. Political theater? He's a man that is surrounded in the Middle East. His countrymen are worried sick that if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, they will have all targets right on their backs. He's a man that's concerned. He's a man that wants to make sure that America, as his number one ally, is going to be there. And what happens? Obama, Biden, Nancy Pelosi, they treat him like dirt. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Don't forget our friends at Streamline Precision. I had a chance to visit with Tim Vaughn yesterday. Now, there is a good old boy, and he is the man that you need to call at Streamline Precision to get estimates on any of the work that you need done. I'm telling you what, right now they're out there trenching. They're doing a lot of trenching for irrigation lines. They're doing a lot of concrete work at dairies for all the alleyways and the feed bunks and everything else. They are busy, but they've got time for you right now. You give them a call at 431-7314. I want you to write that number down, 431-7314. Streamline Precision, located at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods, and you call Tim Vaughn. I'm telling you, they have the vast experience of industrial development that includes dairies, feedlots, food processing, and multiple other agricultural applications, and they're waiting to serve you at Streamline Precision, 431-7314. Gina, did I hear the cow, or am I again hearing things this morning?
You're hearing things.
Well, I'm so glad you're being so nice to me.
I'm just trying to be honest.
And my 39-cent cow isn't working at all this morning.
It's not?
Hold on a second. Maybe if I tip it over twice. She's sick, though. She's got a stomachache. You can tell.
Yeah, she sounds very sick. I think she might need to go to the mood doctor or something.
39 cents will not buy you a healthy calf.
No, it won't.
Okay. All right, we have a call coming in, but before we take that, I want to remind everybody this Saturday is a big, big day. And why is it a big day? Because Sheridan Ranch is going to have their 20th annual production sale, and Cordell and his family raise ripping good bulls. That's not brag. That's a fact. And the sale is going to be at 1 p.m. at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. You better believe it. You'd better be there. They're going to be selling 70 head of bulls, Gelbvieh, Angus, and Balancers, and 15 head coming 2-year-olds, 55 head big mature yearlings, and, by the way, too, free delivery up to 300 miles. And if you're worried about not having anything to eat, worry no longer. They're going to have a complimentary lunch at the sale that day. It's going to be a great sale with bulls that know how to travel out in the rocks on the range. You better believe it. Sheridan Ranch 20th Annual Production Sale, March 7th, this Saturday, 1 p.m., Burley Livestock Auction Yards. Don't you miss it. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, what a dynamic speech that was.
It was. I agree.
Fantastic. A great ally, too.
You know, when you listen to Netanyahu speak, and first of all, Fred, you noticed this, I know you did, because you're very perceptive. He was complimentary to the United States. I thought he went overboard trying to be complimentary to Obama, even though they don't like each other. I thought he handled it with class to where he didn't let any cats out of the bag as far as what the deal was. He is very concerned for his people, and he's very concerned about the security of the Middle East. And yet these crybaby liberal Democrats didn't have the stomach to sit there and listen.
That's for sure. There was two of them, but then there was some of them after he got through speaking, come up some of the weasels and really contradicted him.
Yeah, and the way that Nancy Pelosi acted in the chambers yesterday was appalling. I have no respect for her.
Nancy Pelosi for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Them Democrats, they keep electing them. Right? But I can't understand our Republicans in Congress. They passed that immigration bill yesterday, and I can't believe what they're doing, Graham.
Well, I can't either, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit if I have time this morning, if not for tomorrow, for sure. Fred, good to hear from you, my friend.
Just like the Democrats are still in there.
Yeah. I appreciate your call, Fred. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
I do not understand, and Adrian brought it up earlier, and then Fred again. I do not understand why the Republican Party, the GOP, why they're playing like a lapdog and going along with this president. Is it because they're afraid somebody might look at them and say, oh, they're going to point the finger at the Republicans and say, you? Are they afraid? What is the sense of running for a public office if you haven't got the guts or the backbone, let's call it what it is, to stand up for the convictions of your constituency? I don't understand this. I mean, whoa, wait a minute. We better not vote for this. Or we better vote for this, or we're going to be called names, or somebody's going to think that we're racist, or somebody's going to think this, that, or the other. Who cares? Has politics really got to the low point in our career? I think it is. That they're now on a popularity poll. Oh boy, we got to keep our popularity ratings up at home. They're going to think less of us and we won't get reelected. I don't care. You know, I am so fed up with the Republicans and their lack of backbone and their wishy-washy spiel that they give on national and any other source of media. Where's the backbone? If you don't like something, your constituents don't want you to vote for something, why do it? This is why I draw a distinct line between state politics and national politics. And a lot of people, again, on the left, they criticize me and say, oh, well, you're friends with so-and-so, and that's why you're prejudiced. I am. I'll be the first to admit it. I am. I don't like the Democratic platform. I don't like what they stand for. I don't like what they're trying to do here in the state of Idaho, okay? But on the other side, I have found that our legislators, especially the people from this area, be it Speaker of the House Bedke, or Fred Wood, or Dean Cameron, or former Representative Bert Stevenson, and many others, have been very, very outspoken and very helpful and have not turned their back on me. They've called me, they've explained things, they've been very forthright and honest, where it hasn't happened with the Democrats. Caller, your indulgence. I've got to get the weather in here. You will be next. Do not hang up. Do not hang up. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls with Ryan Horsley. He was on the air with us yesterday. Good old boy. And they've got all the ammunition you need. And along with the best in guns, the best in service. They've got a great staff of people that really, really know. And all the accessories. So you stop in at Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls emails or give them a call at 733-3546. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is at the ranch. Real simple with the weather for today. It's going to be sunny all the way through Sunday. The good news for today, but it really starts tomorrow, the temperatures are going to start to warm up, so you should be in the 60s by Saturday. Yeah, Saturday is a pretty good day. Sunday's not bad either. 40s for the high today, 29 for the all-night low, and then it'll start to warm up. You'll hit 51 for the high tomorrow, 55 for the high day after tomorrow. So enjoy the sun, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
All right, thank you, Michael. Don't forget, for all your ammo needs, and also if you want to trade in your used guns, they'd love to give you top dollar for your guns at Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Ryan and the rest of the crew serving you in historic Old Town Twin Falls. Good morning, caller. Thanks for your patience.
It was Al. He hung up. He'll call back.
Okay, thank you. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Really, I do urge you to try to get a copy of yesterday's USA Today and go to the op-ed pages on the back of the first section and read this despicable, racist commentary by Dwayne Wickham. It's one of the worst newspaper stories that I have ever read, and by one of the worst racists and race baiters, Dwayne Wickham. It's pathetic. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Another Democrat to be ashamed of, and I mean that, is Hillary Clinton. You know, the more that this story unfolds, and the more that this story is kind of pulled out from underneath the rug about her, while being Secretary of State, not doing and following the rules of using federal mechanization for her emails, but running it through private accounts and everything, she is not above the law. And she is certainly not above rules and regulations. And she is certainly illegal and should have her feet held to the fire. And certainly not to be President of the United States. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know what the saying of that is? What difference does it make?
I'm afraid that's her attitude.
That's right. And what gets me is I've watched this crap since Truman fired McCarthy. Look at the chaos he caused there.
Yeah.
And look at what happened with Johnson and McNamara. What holy chaos it caused there.
Yep.
It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And if people don't wake up and get some of this crap out of the White House, we're going to be a nation under siege.
Al, real quick, give me a real short synopsis. Caller number 2, don't go away. What did you think of Netanyahu's speech? If anybody watched it, you did.
It's too bad we can't have a whole bunch of people like him. That's the kind of leaders we need. But what have we got? We got a wimpy little golf player that can't hit 100 or less, and it's getting ridiculous. These Democrats, for hell's sakes, wake up and remember, this is the United States of America. This isn't Iran or any place else.
I
agree.
agree.
Vote the way you're supposed to and knock it off. Simpson, I'm disgusted with you.
Well, I know where that's coming from. Thank you, Al. Appreciate it. God bless you, man. Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Jeb.
Yes.
The view that the Iranian potential or the eventuality that they will have nuclear weapons that they can send long distances is probably not an over-exaggeration, but there are other sovereign countries in the Middle East that also face the same existential threat that Israel is telling the world that their potential annihilation is just a matter of time. But there are other countries, the Sunni countries like Jordan and Saudi Arabia, and these countries are not they're not weak, they're not chaotic as much as the other as Iraq is now and as Syria is now. But I guess my point is that there are other countries that have a stake in making sure that Iran doesn't get the opportunity to follow through with their threats, because they would just as soon do damage to the Sunni Muslims as to as the Israelis. They just pick on them because they're not Muslim.
All right, now let me interrupt you just for a second because I'm short on time and I got other calls and I want you to respond to this. My analogy of what Iran is right now, they are nothing more than viewing the Middle East as a schoolyard. They are the schoolyard bully. Iran wants the power. Iran wants the nuclear bomb that they can hold everybody under their thumb in control. You're right about other Muslim nations. You're right about what they have as a target on Israel. They want that schoolyard bully atmosphere because they want to expand their powers to all points of the compass, and they are to be reckoned with. And when I listened to one of the dumb Democrat spokesmen last night say that in his opinion Iran's not even close to having something nuclear, first of all, we don't know. Secondarily, estimates are it could be within the next 3 months by midsummer. And thirdly, we're not negotiating with people that will honor an agreement anyway.
Well, yeah, the analogy of schoolyard bully, when we grew up, that was just a matter of a second or two until the bully was on his back pockets.
Yep.
And see, that can happen internationally too. And I think that as long as nobody addresses the bully nose to nose, then bullies will do what bullies do. But what I'm saying is the potential for Iran to be set back is still very great. Once they, it would be a terrible mistake for them to take any kind of actions in war other than just supporting, the tribal brush wars with the other, with the other Hezbollah, stuff like that.
But we live in dangerous times, my friend, and right now the encouragement factor that I got yesterday out of listening to Netanyahu, a man that I have deep respect for the way he presented himself and presented his case yesterday, and then Obama not even having the decency or the professionalism or the class to show up and listen. I mean, look at the void that we have in this government.
Right. Well, he was taking the opportunity to say that he still believes in America, and I believe he's sincere. There's some players in our politics that are always players. They're playing, both sides against each other. But I do believe that he still believes in America, and I think that, like I say, there's unintended consequences, and I can see Iran, stepping in the doo-doo, and then they're not going to be able to back up fast.
I agree with you. Hey, listen, I got to get a commercial break in here. Thank you for your call. Call me again. Caller number 2, I'll be right there, I promise. Don't forget Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. 336 South, 450 West of Paul. Number to get a hold of Scott on his cell phone, 431-8733. Hey, if you want your trees properly pruned, call them. They're the best. Fruit trees, ornamental shade trees, everything. Large trees that are kind of a danger, you better get them out of there. They can handle the job. In the tree and landscape business for 35 years, they are the best. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. We've used him all the time right here on our place, and he is the best. Hold on, I got a cough. Excuse me. Call the number 431-8733, Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Caller, go ahead, please. Talk to me, caller.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Am I on the air?
Yes, ma'am. Please, go ahead.
Okay. All right. I wondered if you know a politician from Idaho by the name of Curtis Bauer.
I've heard the name. Yes, I don't know him personally. Why?
Okay. I don't know where he's from exactly, but he's evidently a politician from Idaho. He has put out a video called Agenda, and it's very, very informative. He's done a lot of work looking up a lot of stuff, and he documents a lot of things.
Okay.
I would recommend it to anyone. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, you are a good man, Zeb, and you do a lot of good over the radio. And I'm listening to your show all the time. I'm grateful for you. I want to recommend a book. It's called The Mystery of the Shemitah.
Mystery of the Shemitah. Okay.
Have you heard of it?
I have not. Who's the author so I can check it out by the author's name?
Okay, the author's name is Jonathan Cahn.
Okay.
C-A-H-N.
Okay.
This book is so informative, and I know you're a Christian man. This man is a Christian. He quotes scripture all the way through it.
All right.
It sits right next to my Bible. As far as I'm concerned, it's a book of prophecy. It's a book of scripture. It's very, very, very informative.
All right.
Will help you to understand what is going on in the world and why.
Okay, I tell you what, I'm almost...
Up in there, all the documentation about the rises and falls of the stock market. Many things.
I tell you what, I got to interrupt you. I've got to interrupt you right there because you can look at your watch. I'm just about out of time, but God bless you for your call. I've written it down, The Mystery of the Shemitah by Jonathan Cahn. I'll look it up and I'll do a little search on it and get a copy, and I'll read it, and then I'll, of course, let you know. But I thank you very much for your call this morning.
All right.
Thank you.
It is the New York Times bestseller.
All right. Thank you very much. I got to get Les Schwab in here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I will do that. I appreciate that lady calling in, and I hated to cut her off, but, I can look at the clock, and I've only got about 30 seconds left. I want to remind you about a spring tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. I mean, the tires you need for safe driving are on sale, like the passenger car tire, the Ultra Z900, all-season design, 60 to 80,000 mile warranty, on sale. How about this? The Open Country AT2, outstanding traction, long-lasting tread, on sale. Convenient credit for tires and services at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with the best in brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Great people to work with. Wayne and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Woo! Gotta run. Be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh my. Welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all 7 locations serving you, along with Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, as they say, always at your disposal. And remember, quality, dependability, and value, all backed by a locally owned guarantee. They really care. Kelly and the crew, just give them a call. Find out about all their services. Get on the route service and get rid of your garbage every week. They're there just like time and clockwork. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. 734-6969. Hey, by the way, real quick, before I do another good word here, I want to say thank you to all the people in that first hour. We had some wonderful, wonderful callers, and I in no time want to hurry somebody along sometimes to make it think like I'm being rude to you, but I have to go by the dictates of the clock, and we were running really short there at the end of the hour. So to the lady and everybody else that called that first hour, God bless you, and please call back again. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Don't forget Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, the manager, family, and the staff serving you in the utmost professionalism, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity, and they can travel to rural towns and churches and help you with the arrangements. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are there to help. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to write down and remember, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, serving you and your family. Right now, we've got a little bit of a change on Wednesdays, and yes.
The number you gave me, that number's disconnected and no longer in service, so I need a valid phone number so I can get a hold of him. And I tried the 317, usually his cell phone number, and he's not answering that as well.
This doesn't bode well because he personally called me and gave me that number. Deanne, if you'd help me for a few minutes, we're trying to run down Dave. The number I gave you, 239.
Sorry, the number you have called is no longer in service. Please check the number and try again.
You know, you're good. Maybe if part-time, you ought to become an operator.
You think so?
Well, no, because there's no money or future into it, but you do a great job on that. Well, that kind of leaves me with a cold, chilly feeling right now, and I don't have a guest for this half hour. Dave Bego. Here's what happened, Gina. Doug Johnson, a dear friend of ours, is not going to be available in the mornings for a little period of time, possibly through the summer. And so Dave, I called him and I said, I'd really appreciate it if you could do us a weekly call-in. And he was very amenable to it, and so that's why we wanted to get him started this morning. But unfortunately, with the number that I gave you, unless I said it wrong, I'll repeat it real quick. 239.
Got it.
395.
Yep.
4533.
Correct.
And the operator told you it wasn't good.
Right.
Oh, dear. Anyway.
Is Jack there early?
No, and he'll be storming in the door anytime. When the dog barks, Jack is here.
Then Jack is there,
Yeah. Anyway, I want to remind everybody, give us a call. We'll continue our conversation from last hour about the rudeness and the low-classness of the Democrats in the way that they treated Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel yesterday. And we can also talk about Hillary Clinton and her low-classness in basically doing illegal things with her emails and flouting it to the point where she said, "What difference does it make?" That's the kind of person she is, and not a person of quality personality traits that would make a good president. Not at all. That's the number we had, too. It's not the one that's going to work. She's tried it a couple of times, and the operator got on. Anyway, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, Gina, how old is Kennedy? He's 7, right?
He is going to be 8 on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, my goodness. Is he going to be 8 already?
Yeah, I know.
Well, how would you, as a mother, respond to this story that took place yesterday? A little 6-year-old boy, the bus driver was a substitute bus driver. And the bus driver missed the boy's home and drove right on by and went down the road almost 3/4 of a mile past this boy's home. And remember, he's only 6 years old.
Okay.
And the bus driver, the little boy, walked up and said, "Sir, you missed my home, you missed my home." And the bus driver got really upset and said, "That's tough, get out here."
If I was a bus driver, I would have driven around the block, made the correct route change, and dropped the boy off.
Yeah, now here's what happened. This little 6-year-old boy was told to get off the bus, like I said, almost 3/4 of a mile away from his home, and was told to get off the bus in a very busy and heavy traffic area and walk home. And the mother was waiting by the back door for the little boy, just a little bit past his time of arrival. She was all upset and everything. And here comes this little boy all red-faced and crying and said, "The bus driver made me get off way away from home, Mama." And I don't blame the mother at all for wanting to grab that bus driver around the neck and shake him till he turned blue.
Oh, as an angry mother, I would have probably gone a little bit overboard.
And I think rightfully so.
I think I might be in jail for that one, which, by the way, we do have Dave on the phone. He just...
Okay, well, I just wanted to bring that up to you. I'll be right with him in just a moment. Stand by. I want to also remind you that Saturday's the big day for the Sheridan Ranch 20th Annual Production Sale. Cordell Sheridan and his family really put together some ripping good bulls for this sale on March 7th, Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Burley Livestock Auction Yards. They're going to have 70 head of bulls that are Gelbvieh, Angus, and Balancers, the best. 15 head coming 2-year-olds, 55 head big mature yearlings, and they've got a first-year breeding season guarantee. So don't forget, also free delivery up to 300 miles and complimentary lunch. All of this on Saturday sale day for the Sheridan Ranch 20th Annual Production Sale on 1 p.m. Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Don't you miss it. Well, good morning, Mr. Bego. How are you?
Say again.
Hello, Mr. Bigo. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm here. I'm fine. Well, I'm struggling, Zeb, but I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Well, not too bad. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you calling in. We were having some trouble trying to get through on that number, and so I appreciate it. Dave, I want to get right to the subject matter at hand. A couple of subjects I wanted to talk to you about. First and foremost, the rudeness, the selfish and unprofessional attitude of the Democrats yesterday during Netanyahu's speech. Give me your thoughts.
Well, Zeb, I'm used to it. I think it's typical of what I've seen, and I have to compare it to what I went through fighting the SEIU, but it's the same type of thing. Their position and their tactic is always to degrade the people that they don't agree with and attack them, and they never use professionalism in doing it. So I wasn't surprised at all. In fact, I was expecting it when it happened because we saw it the whole time with the SEIU, and it's time for the Republican Party to wake up and understand they need to go back after these guys and expose them for what they really are.
Okay, but now wait a minute, Dave. The Republican Party to wake up. You walked right into my second little check mark here. I am absolutely amazed as to how the Republican Party is shooting themselves and us in the foot. When the midterms were finished and we had the control of the Senate and the Congress, I thought, yep, now we can get something done. They're not doing anything. They're like little puppets for Obama. Look at what they did yesterday on the amnesty vote. They're not standing up for what's right. They're not standing up for their constituents. So really, what good are they?
Well, it's back to the same old thing, Zeb, and I have to tell you this. When, again, I go back to my union fight with the SEIU, but, all the major cleaning companies who were presented with the same proposition I was by the SEIU to sign a neutrality agreement and take away the secret ballot election and go to card check, 98% of them signed it. And the bottom line is that they don't want to be publicized as people that are uncaring, and they also don't want to put up with the intimidation factor and the cost it takes to fight the battle. And I see the same type of sentiment in Washington with the Republican Party.
Okay, but now here we are. We're less than 2 years away from the next election, and I'm scared to death of another low-class Democrat. She showed that she is above rules and regulations with what happened in Benghazi, and now what's happening with her emails, and that's Hillary Clinton. I'm really worried what's going to happen. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I don't know if you saw the poll that came out yesterday, but it showed that Walker is tied with Hillary right now. And I think if the Republican Party has enough backbone to stand up and get behind Walker and promote him as a presidential candidate and let him do the things that he did in Wisconsin, he will expose who Hillary is, and he will make her look bad to the American people, and kind of the same type of things that we did with the SEIU, and exposed their tactics and what they were really saying to be misinformation and lies, and that they really weren't for the people, they were for themselves, just like Hillary is for herself, the way she pockets money from overseas and other things.
All right, now Dave, talking about your experience with the SEIU, and you've written books about it, The Devil at My Doorstep, The Devil at Our Doorstep, and on your blogs, etc. Scott Walker kind of stepped in it a little bit, some people say. Personally, I like his direct attack when he compared the unions in this country to ISIS. Give me your thoughts about Scott Walker and what he said.
Well, he's right, and he's trying to wake up the American people, and what he's trying to say, Zeb, is real simple, is that the unions, just like ISIS, they want to take control of this country. It's all about control. They think they're smarter, they think that they should be running things, and they don't want anybody talking back to them. And, ISIS has the same thing with the Muslim religion. They're the smart ones, they're in control, you're going to do it my way or it's the highway. And from that perspective, he is right. And, he did these same type of things when he ran for governor, and then in the runoff, and then in the past election for governor. And he has done a good job of getting out in the neighborhoods of people, from different ethnic and religious groups, and even in the union neighborhoods. And these people understand that he's for real, and that he means what he says, and he's sincere, and he's honest.
Let's talk a little bit about the good old boys, the McConnells, the McCains, and the Boehners, and the Lindsey Grahams. I'm fed up with it. Maybe some of these people are friends of yours, but it's this good old boy network that is going to bring the Republican Party, I think, down even further. I want to see some fresh blood. I agree with you. I said before anybody else did on this program that I thought Scott Walker would emerge as cream of the crop, and he is doing so right now. But we need new blood. I don't care if it's a Scott Walker and Ben Carson ticket. I think it would be fantastic.
Well, I think Walker and Carson be a tremendous ticket. You could have Walker for a couple terms and then Carson for a couple terms, and I think it would be tremendous. And but as far as McConnell and Boehner and the rest of them, I've met all of them in Washington when I was out there fighting the union and fighting to have the Employee Free Choice Act, also known as card check, defeated in Congress. And I've got in front of these people, and I've talked to them about the same things I just talked about, is that they have to get some backbone, they have to stand up, and they have to go on the offensive. It's just like right now, if I was involved in Congress, we'd be throwing so much at this president and his party that they wouldn't have time to throw anything back. I mean, they would just be scurrying to defend themselves all the time. And it's my favorite term. They have to go on the offensive, because the best offense or the best defense is a great offense, and you know that because you're a big football fan.
Absolutely, but Dave, it seems like the Republican Party, and I don't care if I offend somebody by saying this, I think it's the truth, they're playing the CYA game to the point where they're scared to stick their neck out like a turtle and see what the weather's like outside the shell, because they're afraid they might lose votes, they might lose some of their constituents, or they might not get reelected, and I think they're a bunch of cowards. Now, would you relate to that?
Oh, no, I agree with you 100%. It's all about votes. And what they don't understand, though, Zeb, and this is what we found out when the SEIU attacked us. I went out into the buildings where we were under attack, and I talked to my employees, I talked to our customers and other people in the buildings, and about what was really going on out there. And, and I talked to people of all different backgrounds, Hispanic, black, white, different Christian backgrounds. And when I explained to them and showed them what was really going on, it's like their eyes, they got as big as saucers, and they woke up, and they were behind us the whole way. And if it had been an election, we'd have won going away. And this is what the Republican Party and conservatives in general have to understand.
Let me ask you this. We've seen the demeanor of this president. We've seen a spoiled, selfish, crass attitude yesterday of not even inviting or shaking hands with Netanyahu while he was in Washington, D.C. We've seen a man that if he doesn't get his own way, he acts spoiled, and he's going to do everything he can to denigrate the opposition. What about these next 2 years? How in the world are we going to live through his executive orders with his pen and his phone?
Well, that's my biggest concern, Zeb, is that, in 2 years he can bring this country down. And, there's articles, there's a good article out there today about Obama and Netanyahu and what Obama's real agenda is. And it was written by Lowell Ponte. I don't know if you've ever talked to Lowell or not. But he's fought the unions, too. And, in fact, I quote him in my book, In the Devil at Our Doorstep. But he's basically saying is that Obama behind the scenes is doing everything he can to support Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood and ISIS and all that, because eventually what he wants to see is a takeover of this country and by the Muslims, and because that's his background. And one of the ways he's going to achieve it is that behind the scenes, and I guess they've got this recorded, Mark Levin had it on his radio show and talked about it, where they have recordings of presidential meetings with his cabinet and other people where they're talking about not the 4 or 5 million amnesty that they're talking about now, but another 15 million where they're going to allow people in from all around the world, right, and create their own societies and let them grow and outgrow the American people and destroy it from within.
You know, and everything goes back, Dave, to what he said way back in 2007, leading up to his first election, that he would, quote, fundamentally change America. And this change is going to be the denigration of our Constitution and our country's values. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Zeb, you and I have talked about this before. I think he wants to crash the economy because that's the easiest way to do it. You crash the economy, and when you look at the condition we're in with the high debt and high entitlement and welfare programs, costs for Obamacare, the amnesty program where we got people still streaming across the border that we're paying for, we can't continue to handle this burden of debt and cost, and the economy collapses. He declares martial law and he takes over, and and with all the people that he's allowing to come into the country, I mean, that's a scary thought. Who is crossing that border every day?
Absolutely. I don't know if you had a chance to read it or not, but I've only got 3 minutes left here this morning. Dwayne Wickham of the Morgan State University School of Global Journalism, he is a black opinion writer, writes for the USA Today, and it was in yesterday's paper where he absolutely trashed Netanyahu in his speech. And I want to read one paragraph out of there and have you respond to it, because everything to this man is racist against Obama. He said, quote, Netanyahu has become an instrument of the GOP, which has shown a personal disrespect for Obama, his wife, and children since this black family moved into the building many Republicans apparently think is literally a White House. Isn't that repugnant?
It is, but again, this is the things they do, Zeb. I mean, like I said, when the SEIU attacked me, and people got to understand, the SEIU are communists. They've marched in the streets of California with the Communist Party. They're very close to the president, and they did the same things to me. They attacked me and said, I made our people use hazardous chemicals and dangerous equipment, that I was a bad person, and they just went on. And this is their tactic. This is what they do. And I'll say it again, and people are going to get tired of hearing me saying it. The Republican Party, conservatives, generals have to go on the offensive, because if you don't, you can't beat these guys. You got to punch the bully in the nose.
I totally agree. Dave, I so much appreciate your calling me, and at least we had a 16, 17-minute segment on this morning, and I appreciate it. And hopefully we can get you on next week, and we'll have another discussion about some of the things that are going on around the world and the United States. Dave Bigo, excellent businessman and author, thank you so much this morning.
Well, thank you, Zeb, and you guys take care.
All right, God bless. Thank you very much. Good friend of mine back in Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Bigo. Appreciate him coming on the program this morning. Right now, we are going to say thank you to Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness, they're located on Highway 24 between Rupert and Heyburn. And, of course, don't forget, that's where the fun is sold. They've got all the four-wheelers. Have you been into the showroom and looked around, just left to right, right to left, down the middle? They've got four-wheelers all over the store. And of course, they've got all the dirt bikes. They've got all the accessories. They've got everything. Like I said, this is where the fun is sold. And I highly recommend that you get a hold of their service department right now and make arrangements to get your four-wheelers all serviced and ready to go this spring. Let's Ride between Rupert and Heyburn on Highway 24. Definitely where the fun is sold. Let's also remind you, too, about our dear friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, when you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, always dedicated and responsive to your needs and devoted to serving you. All you have to do is give them a call, make an appointment, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You get a hold of them today. Well, lo and behold, excuse me for coughing in your ear, we have a gentleman that just kind of stumbled into the studio, a homeless person walking down Highway 30, and he's a very dear friend of mine. All kidding aside, Jack Euler. Jack, how you doing this morning? Good to have you here.
Doing great, Zeb.
Good to see you.
Glad to be here.
How you doing?
My heart's still beating. So
is mine. We're both in good shape, aren't we?
Yes.
Jack, I'm starting you a little bit early here in this segment because I know we got a lot to cover. But I understand that now you're in the movie business, going up for an Academy Award against Robert Duvall and Tom Selleck and everybody else. I understand that you were in a documentary. Tell us about it.
Oh, it's very interesting. A group from California, from actually San Diego, the university down there, came up and they had made arrangements to interview me for a documentary. So 2 people came up to interview me, and the camera crew and the whole works. And Monday we did this, and it was very interesting.
Was it a trap, or were they straight up with you?
No, it was a trap.
It was?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
okay.
I've been around long enough to know that the trap is there before you even see it.
So
when you say trap, that is an interesting thing that they brought up.
Really?
They were... you could tell by the questions that they were against trapping.
Oh.
And then they asked the question, this is how much they know. They said, well, how about snaring? And is that different? I said, yes, a trap and a snare is 2 different things. And I had to explain to them what a trap was and what a snare was. And it went on for a while, and you could tell their feelings about trapping, but I said, let me tell you. I says, you answer my question. How did the wolves get here? And they said, well, they were brought in. Okay. I said, yes, but how were they caught in Canada before they came here?
And they didn't have a clue.
They didn't have a clue. I said, they were trapped. And it kind of took them back.
Let me ask you this, though, Jack, and you've been around third base, headed for home many times, and so you're not a stranger to this ball game. Do you think that, unfortunately, many of your comments are going to end up on the editorial room floor and they're going to distort your interview?
I don't care, but because I always speak straightforward and upright about the subject.
Right.
But when it was over, the one person told me that they were going to, in their documentary, show both sides, and then they weren't going to do conclusions. They were going to leave it up to the public.
Oh, really?
To make the decision on. And the book that I used, The Real Wolf, was a tremendous help to me. And I told them this issue is not about the species, and none of the species that the environmental groups want to get on the list of endangered species. It isn't about the species. I said it's about money, and it is about politics.
And control.
And control, and that's it.
Yeah.
I said it isn't about the species, because any of these groups never put a dime on the ground to protect the species.
Did you, during the course of the filming and the questioning, did you at all feel that you were being painted into a specific corner, so you had your hackles on the back of your neck up a little bit?
No, because I've been around long enough that they can't put me in that position.
Yeah.
If you start talking without thinking, yes, you can get into that position. Yep. But I've been around long enough. I've walked out on interviews before up at Channel 6 in Boise on TV station because of what they try to do and everything. It doesn't bother me.
Everything today, I shouldn't say everything, but most everything on the air today has a green slant to it. And it's very, very hard to find somebody that's open-minded as a newscaster or a questioner for a program like this. Did they understand some of your points after you had a chance to explain them?
Well, they understood him, but it's hard for them to grasp them.
Yeah. What do they want, basically?
What do they want? That's a good question. What do they want?
They must have some kind of a bottom line.
First, I ask them how they got my name.
Yeah.
How they got my name to do this. And my name was given to them by an environmental group.
Really?
Yes. And, that was very interesting. They told me who the person was, who I have dealt with before, but so I must have some kind of reputation somewhere. I remember years ago when I got called by CNN, the producer in New York, to do a segment for a newscast, and I said, no, you can't do that. You got to do a whole program on this. And that turned out that 45 minutes on the phone with them, and they said, well, do you have anything else to add? And I says, yes. And they said, what is it? I said, if I help you with what you're doing with an hour program, I said, you have got to do one thing for me. And they said, what is that? And I said, show the kill. And they said, oh, we couldn't do that.
Uh-huh.
And I said, you lost me.
Yeah, you're talking about the kill of the wolves versus they're going after livestock and or elk or deer, right?
That's right. Yeah. Because those animals that are attacked by wolves suffer greatly because it takes a week to 2 weeks a lot of times before the animal dies.
You know, Jack, I've got to do a commercial break here, but I just want you to think about this question and come back after this break. It seems like after almost 20 years, do you realize it's almost been 20 years since we started this? Honestly, it seems like after 20 years, we really, looking back upon the road that we've traveled, we're almost back at the beginning again, the way things are going. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, that's true in some ways, yes.
Yeah. Respond to that after I do the commercial break, would you?
You bet.
Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are visiting with Jack Euler, and Jack, now a movie star, up for an Academy Award and everything else for being in a documentary, and I really respect him, and all kidding aside, for standing up and fighting for what's right, not just what the environmentalists want to throw on television. Stand by, because I want to remind everybody about Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center. These folks really care at 2303 Park Avenue in Burley. The number to call is 677-3073. Providing medical nursing services for seniors with very serious illnesses or disabilities 24 hours a day. The entire staff will know you by name, and each day they will greet you and find out how you are, and you're going to feel like you're at home. Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center recently awarded a 5-star rating, which is the highest rating awarded to skilled nursing facilities. They really care. Be sure and call them today, 677-3073, Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center at 2303 Park Avenue in Burley. Now, Jack, when I say that we've kind of gone this long road from the beginning of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service demanding that we restore the wolves here in the state of Idaho in 1995 when all this started till now, 2015, 20 years. And it seems like some of the ground that we covered, some of the ground that we thought was already taken care of and not to be fought over again, it seems like it's coming up again. So it seems like it's a never-ending battle.
Totally true, and I think about the fights and things that I have gone through, and you know, the wolves were delisted in the upper Midwest, and they were delisted in Wyoming, and they were delisted in Idaho and Montana. And Idaho and Montana are the only two states that this hasn't been reversed at this point.
Really?
Now, it was reversed once, but we got them back through our work in Washington, D.C. on a budget bill with 5 lines. And one of those lines says, and this cannot be challenged in court. And I don't know if that line in that budget bill is why we haven't had it reversed in Montana and Idaho, but we are the only states, the two states, that they're still delisted.
Let me ask you this, Jack, and this is getting away from Idaho and going 1,600 miles to the Midwest right now. But Minnesota and Wisconsin are absolutely deluged with numbers of wolves into the many, many, many thousands, and that's
and
a fact.
Michigan.
And Michigan. But yet they're coming out with the environmental side of this thing to where they're going to curtail management procedures and they're going to try to curtail the killing of these wolves and any kind of management whatsoever. I really feel some compassion for those people back in the Midwest.
I feel a great compassion, and if, you know, this goes back a long ways, and Teddy Roosevelt, one of our presidents a long time ago, said beasts of waste and desolation. That was his statement about wolves years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
And he was an environmentalist and did a
Absolutely.
lot of environmental work. But he knew what wolves were and what they did.
And the federal government waged a war on those wolves at that time so that we could have a better wildlife situation and more domestic animals in this area.
Very much so. And you always hear bringing Native Americans into this issue, and you always hear that the wolf and the Native Americans have a spiritual bind between them. I have asked Native Americans just that question. Is there a spiritual or religious significance of the wolf to you? They will not answer the question, and you have to beat around the bush before you really get to the point. And did your ancestors have to kill wolves? And if so, why? And it amounted to, we used the hides for teepees, we used them for shoes, we used them for clothing, and we had to kill wolves to protect our food supplies.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's it.
You know, Jack, as you look at the wolf issue, and we've gone through the spotted owl, we've gone through the salmon issues, we've gone to the curtailment of our water and everything, and you and I both many, many times talked about that 7-letter word, control. They basically, they're after everything to run us out of Dodge City, aren't they?
That's completely true. And there's things going on in Idaho today that with the sage grouse and
yeah, that's the big scare right now.
And the monument up here and the white clouds. You know, it's all a way to get control and to get you off the land.
In your words, Jack, this is a good opportunity. I've got about 3.5 minutes before a weather forecast here, but in your words and your thoughts, what are you thinking about the white clouds issue as far as monument status? What would it mean to you if it was designated as such?
Well, it would mean, from what I know from the Fish and Game and from agencies that have to manage wildlife, it would mean that we would lose the abilities to manage those things. It's just like in the Frank Church Wilderness area. It is against the law, supposedly, according to them, that the Fish and Game cannot land a helicopter in those areas because it is a wilderness area. And that's where we're headed with these things. But I had a guy that rides a bicycle a lot, and he rides it up there. And he says, what are they going to do to me if they catch me back there on my bicycle? It's a mechanical device. And I says, I don't know what they're going to do to you. I says, are they going to arrest you and take you to jail? And he says, I have no clue. what's going to happen to me.
But there again, though, Jack, under that status, anybody like myself with a physical challenge or anybody like me, we're basically ostracized from going in there, aren't we?
Yes, and the American Disabilities Act, this is where the American Disabilities Act can be used against some of these issues, because I have dealt with the American Disabilities Act when I was on the National Board of Directors with American Youth Soccer, and you can use that American Disabilities Act against some of these issues.
Why haven't more people done that?
You know, Zeb, I don't know.
Yeah.
And some people have. Some people have used the ADA for many reasons.
Basically, what you see, though, on our public lands is an attitude of, oh, leave it alone, we've got to save it for future generations, which is nothing more than a blatant lie, because once we leave it alone, nobody's going to be allowed ever, right?
And what have I preached at the legislature all the time?
Yes.
We want it for our kids and our grandkids to be as good or better than we had it when we grew up.
Use,
so we're
not
saying
abuse.
the
Yes.
same thing.
Yep, absolutely. I've got to get a weather forecast in here. Calls are welcome for Jack Euler, my dear friend. And the weather this hour is brought to us by our dear friends over in Jerome at Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B. Number to call, 324-2004. Absolutely, they are there for you. Please feel free to contact them with any questions you might have. Minor emergencies, major care, and they will see you today. So please, your health is their number one priority at Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. And here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is at the ranch. Real simple with the weather for today. It's going to be sunny all the way through Sunday. The good news for today, but it really starts tomorrow. The temperatures are going to start to warm up, so you should be in the 60s by Saturday. Yeah, Saturday is a pretty good day. Sunday's not bad either. 40s for the high today, 29 for the all-night low, and then I'll start to warm up. You'll hit 51 for the high tomorrow, 55 for the high day after tomorrow. So enjoy the sun, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. And at Urgent Care of Jerome, they understand that being sick or hurt isn't convenient, so they do their very best to make your health care convenient for you. Please give them a call, 324-2004. Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome, bringing you Michael Rogers weather. You know, Jack, as I said, you've been fighting the wolf situation since 1995, and you are an expert, possibly the best educated man on this subject in the Northwest. Other states are starting to have their problems too, which I think are going to get bigger and bigger all the time. Our neighboring states, like not only Montana and Wyoming, but also to the west of us, Oregon and Washington, now they're feeling the pinch of the wolves.
Completely true. And I had a Jim Unsworth, who was under Virgil Moore in the Idaho Fish and Game, just left the Idaho Fish and Game and took over as director of the Idaho Fish and Game in Washington. And he and I had a good talk about this. What are you going to do about that subject in Washington? And he just looked at me and he shook his head and he says, you know the answers. And I said, you need to be forthright and upright with everybody and tell the truth and go after the subject. This book, The Real Wolf, talks about the loss of wildlife, and there's a statement in here about, I have been shocked that no one at the top of the Yellowstone National Park hierarchy has come out and told the truth about what is happening to elk, mule deer, and moose in Yellowstone Park. And that is one of the facts that they won't talk about. I mean, the moose are gone.
Yeah.
The elk have gone from 20,000 to around 2,000. They quit counting them. They won't count them anymore. Doug Smith, who's the head biologist over there, says we don't count them anymore. And the deer, they're about gone in Yellowstone Park. And in doing studies to find out why people go to Yellowstone Park, it is about seeing what is there, but they like the wildlife too.
Sure.
Today, you don't see the wildlife.
I want to shift gears a little bit, Jack, in the time remaining, and
let's go to talk about cattle and the agriculture.
Yeah, go ahead if you would. I was going to also wrap it up a little bit with sage grouse, but go ahead.
Okay. The United States Department of Agriculture reported in 2010 alone, wolves killed 8,000 head of cattle. And that's a loss of about $1,000 apiece, or $8 million in the industry.
At least.
Well, when you get confirmed kills, there is 7 more out there that are 7 more dead cattle that are non-confirmed.
Yes.
So in total, you have lost about $56 million on the wolves just in the cattle industry. And this is a big deal. And if you break it down to what does each wolf cost us, in that area it costs about $108,000. But when you get to what they have done in New Mexico and Arizona with the red wolf trying to bring it back and everything, the figures down there is $346,000 that is being paid out of our money to try and bring the red wolf back in those 2 states.
Ridiculous.
I mean, it's totally ridiculous, the things that they push down our throats and continue to push down. And in this book, there is a couple of pages that are written by Governor Butch Otter, and people need to get a hold of the book and read those.
I've got to do a commercial break, but I do want you to give us a little bit of update as to what's happening on the sage grouse issue. And I'll say this before I do the commercial break. Jack and I have talked about this many, many times. This issue is not going to go away, the same as the wolf issue, salmon issue, etc. I mean, once the environmentalists have got their grip on this issue, they're not going to turn it loose, and I want you to respond to that in just a moment. Don't forget, as I've been saying for the last couple of days, be sure and remember this number for Streamline Precision, located at 120 South, 100 West of Burley. The number to call Tim Vaughn, 431-7314. I'll repeat it again, 431-7314 for estimates. These folks are a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. I talked to Tim yesterday, and he said they are right now coming into where they're really doing a lot of trenching for all the pipelines, and they're doing a lot of concrete work for the dairies, the feedlot areas, the alleyways. All you have to do to get on the list is just give them a call. They are experts in constructing agricultural buildings, grain silos, and commercial steel buildings. Call them today. Ask for Tim at 431-7314. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. Call them today. Jack, give us a little update. What's going on with the sage grouse issue?
Well, in the budget bill last December, we got the decision whether they're listed or not listed put off for 1 year. So we got till 2016. We're supposed to go to Washington, D.C. in April and work on this issue some more, and the wolf issue. It's going to be a thing that we're going to be working on to get the delisting in the lower 48 states, which we made an agreement with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to do that, and on the sage grouse issue. But the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has backed out on the wolf issue. But on the sage grouse, I have been in meetings with the Department of Lands in Idaho, the head guy, and what the state is doing on state lands, and all that stuff is in conjunction with being on the state butch otters, sage grouse task force.
Do you have, I know on previous programs you came in here with your chin dragging on the ground because you weren't very optimistic that they weren't going to list the sage grouse and it would cause economic havoc for every small community in the state of Idaho and basically shut down the West. What are your thoughts on that today?
With the present administration, what we're trying to do is get this past the present administration, and if we can get a change at the head of the administration, we feel that we can bypass some of these listings that are out there. Now, it isn't just the sage grouse and the wolf. It is thousands and thousands of things that the environmental groups have requested to be put on that list. And in that documentary that was done Monday, those people kept pushing me on that issue, and I said, you cannot go out into the wild or across your lawn in most places and walk because you're stepping on a grass that or a bug that the environmental groups want listed. I says none of this is about the species. I said it is totally about money and politics. And I said that is one thing I want you to take away from here, that it is money and politics.
Were these people that you did this documentary with, were they representing a television station? Were they representing a private concern? Were they representing an environmental group or cause? What was their background?
They were from San Diego State University, and I think it is going to be a documentary for a doctorate degree in the end.
I see.
For one person. There was a professor and there was a student.
I see.
And that's what it was.
You know, hopefully, with your expertise, and I know you probably did your best to get their opinion to where they would at least understand the other side and understand the basics of what's really going on.
Well, you know, when they've got to learn what the issue really is, before they move on with things like this.
Yeah.
And I could tell early on that these people they did not know the facts about the whole issue when they started talking about it.
I've only got a minute left here, but doesn't that surprise you that they represent like San Diego State University and they hadn't taken the time to really become knowledgeable? That's kind of spooky.
Well, Zeb, it is spooky, but you remember what we went through with the Sierra Club, trying to get the Sierra Club on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, it is spooky.
They wouldn't come.
Yeah, we went through a couple of issues. It was going to be you and them.
Yeah.
Then they wanted 2-1 against you, and then you wanted 2-2. And in the end, they wanted the questions that were going to be asked, and they wanted all this. This is the way they try to direct these issues.
They're just like, I'll lump it together and say they're just like the Democrats were yesterday with Netanyahu. They have no class and they're cowards.
That's totally true. And anybody that donates to them is something else. But I would like to read something about donation for Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife
Jack, honestly,
Banquet.
I've only got 20 seconds. Can you do it that fast?
Yes. Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife Banquet in Twin Falls, 12th Annual Magic Valley Chapter Banquet, Rally for Wildlife Banquet, and fundraiser is Saturday, March 14th, 2015, and we would like it's online, sfw.org.
Okay, leave that with me. me and I'll plug it for you. Jack Euler, dear friend on the program this morning. We're going to take a break and go to the news right now. I'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, my. Our thanks to Jack Euler for coming all the way over here to the studio and going on the air this morning. And one of my dear, dear friends, I thank him very much. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell. And our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Thanks, Jack. See you later, buddy. And get on the route service today. Don't forget, call them at 734-6969. We're going to have our guest with us in just a few moments. Stand by, but I want to also remind you about, the Chadwick Sports Grill. I love this place. Listen to what they've got for a special today. Beef stroganoff on egg noodles with garlic toast. Oh, boy. And super salad. It's going to be fantastic. Always is. All the luncheon specials and all the menu specials. You're going to love the food. You're going to love the people at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Today again, beef stroganoff on egg noodles. Don't miss it. Also, real quick, I started back with our dear friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, and wow, did I have a good workout yesterday on my knee and my hip over there at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell getting me back in shape. I'll tell you, knows all the sports medicine, all the exercises, and they've got that hydrotherapy pool with that treadmill in the bottom. Help you get back to feeling like yourself. Everybody there, Nick and Jordan and Jeff, Orlando, Emily, Kelly, Tia, Jared, they're all there with expertise to help you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call, 678-1191. The other day, we had this lovely lady on the air, and Dan Gaynor was supposed to be on this morning, but evidently Dan's at the doctor's office, and so we are blessed again to have Julia Seymour on the air with us this morning. Good morning, Julia. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well, thanks.
Julia, I want to say this up front. When it comes to the Internet and when it comes to logging in and finding things and Google and all that, you are probably talking to the dumbest talk show host in the world when it comes to all of this, but I can understand when I smell a rat. And I am smelling a rat with the Internet regulations which are coming down the pike. Would you give me a synopsis of what's happening and why America should be very concerned?
Sure. Well, last week, the Federal Communications Commission passed a ruling that would allow them to regulate the Internet. It passed 3-2. And critics of this are very concerned because conservatives know, and we say this all the time, that what happens when government gets involved with something it doesn't need to be involved with, it stifles innovation and it increases costs. So the FCC looked at the issue of Internet speeds and access and said, because not everyone has the same thing, there's a problem and it must be fixed. The fact that companies were charging, more if you needed to use a whole lot more Internet bothered them, and that's why they made this ruling. But we still don't know what's going to come out of this yet because it was based on, basically a 300-plus page document from President Obama, and that hasn't gone public. So we have no idea yet what the regulations are actually going to be.
All right, now, Julia, if you don't mind, and please entertain a person that doesn't know that much about it, so please appreciate my naive questions. Will this control, if you will, over the Internet with these new regulations, will it also control the information available?
I don't think anyone knows yet because the regulations themselves have not been made public. They just said, okay, we are going to do something with this ruling, and they haven't gone forward and announced what they're going to do. We don't know, but there are certainly concerns that this is going to result in content changes in addition to the concerns about higher prices and the problem of innovation.
The way I look at this, Julia, and again, I'm very naive about this, but I'm looking at this as a way for the government to take over a singular doctrine, as a way for the government to have just the government speak on the internet, and a way to eliminate a conservative voice. Maybe I'm out in left field or right field. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't know if you're wrong, so I'm not going to say that you are. Critics of net neutrality, which is, by the way, the term the left has used and framed this debate in, because it sounds nice, why wouldn't we want the internet to be neutral? The problem is that terms like that can be very deceptive. And we spoke with President of American Commitment, Phil Kerpen, who has argued that in addition to the economic problems, this actually would be disastrous for free speech. We do know that some of the people who were promoting this FCC decision, who had lobbied basically to get the FCC to rule this way, both supported the fairness doctrine and want greater government control of media. So I think it's hard to imagine that this isn't going to have some sort of impact on speech in the long run, at least.
Yeah. Now, another naive question I've got, Julia, is when you let somebody like George Soros and you let the government in, and you know how they are with the IRS and coming after our money, what about the cost factor? Are they literally going to make it so expensive that only the upper echelon can afford this, or am I wrong on that?
I don't think we know yet exactly how much this could cost people, but I do know that a liberal policy group called PPI, Progressive Policy Institute, predicted that households could pay an additional $156 in fees if the regulators decide to classify the internet as a public utility. So even a left-wing group admitting there are costs associated with regulation. So again, until they've released full regulations, and even until those regulations are implemented, we're not going to know exactly what this does to your ability and your cost for the internet and mine.
What about the fact that, I guess I'll go back to the old adage, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Is there a problem?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think that's what a lot of critics of this. Sorry, I'm having trouble with words today. Critics of net neutrality and that whole push for net neutrality basically made that argument that it isn't broke, that the internet exists, it's flourishing, that people can buy it and access it, and it's not broken that you might have to pay more if you want to use more. I mean, that's a common sense thing. If I want to go to the store and I want more of something, then I would pay more for that. That kind of makes sense to me. So saying that it was broke because not everyone had the same thing and not all content or amounts of content were judged in the same manner, I think is wrong, wrong-headed, and certainly didn't require an FCC ruling to now regulate the flourishing internet. And I think, it's only time is going to tell how disastrous that turns out to be.
Yeah. I'm sitting here, and like I said, I'm very naive about this, and if it wasn't for my lovely wife and then also my engineer, Gina, I personally probably would never turn on a computer. But there's another aspect of this story that really scares me, is the Federal Communications Commission and people that are underneath Obama's thumb and George Soros's thumb. This could extend past the internet, and like was said in the story that was sent to me, it could also affect the radio business and conservative talk shows.
Yeah, the fact that the proponents of net neutrality have also made it very clear that they want the government to assert more control over media, that they promote a fairness doctrine, which, again, is another mislabeled thing because what it means is control of or trying to squash conservative views, because on talk radio especially, they win. Conservative talk radio does very well with listeners, and a lot of liberal radio shows don't do as well. And so there have been many on the left who want to even that out because they don't like that. Mm-hmm. And when you have some of the same proponents who've now managed to get their way with the FCC on net neutrality, I think there's reason for concern.
Well, I was reading this statement. I want, for the benefit of my audience, and I think everybody should be concerned about this, the gentleman I'm referring to, and I use the term gentleman very loosely, Mark Lloyd, FCC Chief Diversity Officer for the FCC, made the statement that he suggested, this man personally suggested, the Federal Communications Commission take money away from conservative talk show stations and then give the money to liberal public broadcasting. That is nothing more than a total burning and looting and pillaging and destroying of the First Amendment, Julia.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely horrible. That's absolutely wrong, and so yeah, it's certainly concerning that he's working within the FCC.
What can we do? I mean, we can sit here and criticize the FCC and certain people like Soros and this nincompoop Mark Lloyd and everybody else, but what would you have people to do? They need to be up in arms about this. What would we have them go do?
I'm not an activist, so I'm much better at saying, okay, I know what the media did on this, and I can tell you they didn't cover it, and they covered they barely covered it, and they covered a silly debate over what color a dress was more than three times as much as they covered this decision. But I can tell you that in this country we still do get to express our opinions. We still have the right of free speech, and that's a wonderful thing. So I'd love for people to be educated, get the information on this. Don't just accept the way that the left has framed this debate. And yes, the FCC has already made a decision, but we still have voices in this country.
Well, I am not going to weaken, and as a conservative talk show host, I'm going to be very, very loud against the FCC and this Mr. Mark Lloyd and his incompetency and his idiocy for suggesting that if we're conservatives, we should be fined and give the money to public broadcasting. And if you hear any more on this story over the next couple of days, Julia, you or Dan or anybody, please call me back and come back on the air, because I will fight them tooth and tongue, okay?
Okay, you got it.
God bless you and have a good day. Julia Seymour, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All righty. This is spooky, and like I said, I am not a computer aficionado as much as or ever even close to Gina and Deanne and others. But when I read through this and found out that the Ford Foundation, which is funded by George Soros, they want to have a greater government involvement. Those are the words they use in regulating the internet. And then as I went through this story and I read through here that they reiterated their support of government regulation of the internet and their commitment to fund net neutrality activism, and then further down through this story found out that a person by the name of Mark Lloyd, as the FCC's chief diversity officer, came right out and stated, and I have the words right here, that he is absolutely against what he calls the structural imbalance of political talk radio, and he wants to have a fine imposed from the FCC to conservative talk show stations and then give the money to liberal public broadcasting? Ladies and gentlemen, wake up! America is dying from within. Our values are getting slaughtered by these incompetent, know-nothing liberals that I have absolutely no respect for whatsoever. None. And never will. Calls are welcome, 436-2244-1866-927-4587. Don't forget Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley, working very hard to provide great service to all the communities in Magic Valley. And it might be time for you to update your windows. And I'll tell you, whether it's summer or winter, keep the energy efficiency in your home. And new windows, vinyl windows, can help by 2 to 3 times. Call Leslie or Gentle Ben at Burley Glass right now. Get a free bid, 678-1459. These are really good people. Put the windows in my office. They know what they're doing. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, Gina, you're right there by your microphone, and you know far, far more about the internet and Facebook and everything else. This must, in some respects, even bother and scare you as to what the government wants to do to regulate everything we do or say.
I know, and I honestly think that the internet should be free.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that the government has the right to regulate, you know, the internet and free speech is the way that they're trying to do so.
You know, and here's something else, Gina. You've majored in journalism, and you're younger than I am, but I've been in this business for almost 45 years, okay? Let's be honest. And there's always been attacks on conservatives. There's always been attacks on conservative hosts of television and radio. But to blatantly come out and say on behalf of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and their chief diversity officer saying that they would like to see a fine imposed on conservative talk show stations and then give the money to public broadcasting, that is as absolutely destroying the First Amendment as anything I ever heard of.
Well, absolutely. And you think of the larger picture. The government's getting too big. They need to find ways to make more money. Well, how are they going to make more money? Well, to stifle free speech and then fine us for what we say, because it's going to be against the government anyway. And so basically this is just another way for them to bilk money out of the populace.
Yeah, but people,
specifically you and me.
But people don't understand.
No, they don't.
That whether they agree with me or not with a conservative voice, I'm trying to put stories out there that they need to think about. They may have to take action on. They may have to do something for the protection of their livelihood or their families or whatever. And all these 8 balls on the other side want to do is limit free speech and only give you a doctrine that follows their path.
Well, yeah, that's called socialism.
There you go. And I'm just irate about this because little by little, inch by inch, day by day, we're seeing these people take over. And what really bothers me is you have some absolute idiot like this Mark Lloyd at the FCC. I'll probably get a letter, chief diversity officer, saying, well, we're going to stop conservative speech, fine them, and then give the money to liberal public broadcasting. That's nothing more than a communist manifesto to limit what's on the airwaves.
Well, that is a blatant infringement upon our First Amendment. That is an absolute blatant infringement upon that. And so people, especially those of us that are, you know, in the media industry, whether it be radio, whether it be television, whether it be print, doesn't matter, on the internet, if you are into any sort of, you know, blogging, getting your opinion out there, you need to stand up.
Yeah, and by the way,
it's going to affect everybody.
By the way, you can count on one hand, literally. Remember Air America, how much of a big helium-filled balloon with lead that was that crashed and burned? It was basically a network for liberal thought. Gee, Gina, where is it today? Gee, Gina, where are all the liberal talk show hosts? Gee, Gina, are they really clogging the airwaves with their liberal garbage? They aren't successful.
No, and I just said why. They don't want to have to pay for everything.
That's right.
They don't want to have to pay for anything. Liberals want everything for free, and so they want those of us who are actually out there hustling our bums to make things happen. They want our dollars so they can get their stuff for free, i.e. via fines.
And here's the other thing that you know this is true, too. They were so upset because conservative voice and conservative talk shows are very successful, like this one is. They want to come in with a counterbalance, and basically, like you said, they don't want to pay for it. They don't want to go out and try to seek the sponsors. They don't want to have to worry about the billing. They don't want to have to worry about running a job or a program like I do every day. I have to get up and make sure the bills are paid. paid. I'm taking care of everything. They want everything in a welfare state handed to them. And I say they absolutely are worthless.
Well, and this is what I have to say. It's probably not because they're not getting out there and they're not trying to look for those sponsorship dollars. They're just sponsorship dollars just aren't out there for them.
Bingo.
Because nobody believes in
Bingo.
that. And there are more conservatives, especially in our area. And I think, honestly, the conservative group is growing. There's more conservatives out there than there are liberals. And the liberals don't want to bow to that. And, of course, we conservatives, we're not going to bow to the liberals either.
Just imagine for a moment, and we've got just a minute left here, just imagine a complete control of the Internet. Just imagine a complete control of my program. Just imagine them walking in the door and handing me a bill for maybe $10,000, and they say, Mr. Bell, because of your conservative viewpoints, you are fined now by the FCC, and of course that money's going to go to Idaho Public Radio or the liberal public broadcasting system, and you're out of business. One fine like that would put me out of business, and I'm sure it wouldn't be good for Kim Lee either. But that's it. It's nothing more than controlling a situation so that you buy into their mindset.
Well, because they want everybody to be sheeple.
There you go. There you go. I've got a commercial and then I'll be back. I am just so outraged that we're buying into this stupidity. It's unbelievable. Once again, I want to remind you about our dear friends at Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Oh my goodness, right next to Dot Foods. And don't forget, they have manufacturing and contracting all under one roof, making very coordinated, accurate, confidential, and consistent timelines to meet their clients' demanding needs of getting something built and getting something done. You call Tim today at 431-7314. That number again, 431-7314 at Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods, and talk to them. Talk to them about their specializing in large-scale industrial projects, experts at constructing agricultural buildings, grain silos, commercial steel buildings, and right now they're building that brand new Funk Dairy right over here in Murtaugh. They know. You call for an estimate today, 431-7314. Streamline Precision, working for you. Absolutely. And don't forget, too, the big Sheridan Ranch Bull Sale. Man, I'll tell you what is coming up this Saturday, March 7th at 1 p.m. Burley, Idaho, you bet. Auction yards at Burley Livestock Sale Yard. They're going to be hosting this event at 1 p.m. on Saturday. Cordell Sheridan and his family selling 70 head of ripping good range-raised bulls. And, of course, 15 head are coming 2-year-olds, 55 head big mature yearlings. First-year breeding season guarantee, and also they'll deliver up to 300 miles. This is the cream of the crop. This is a Jim Dandy bull sale for you. Sheridan Ranch 20th Annual Production Sale this Saturday, March 7th at 1 p.m. Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Cordell Sheridan and the family waiting to see you. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back into our last half hour. And we're just about ready, I believe, to welcome onto the show a gentleman that's been a good friend of mine for many, many years. And tomorrow, he's going to be doing something a lot of people have never seen him do, and that's pick up a shovel and do some work with it. And that's Charlie Howell, Jerome County Commissioner. Good morning, Charlie. Is he there?
Charlie, he's talking to you.
I do not hear him. And
hold on just a second.
Okay. Evidently, we've had some bad connections this morning, and I don't understand why, but we will certainly find out and see if he's still there, or maybe he put the phone down and is talking to somebody else. Charlie Howell, Jerome County Commissioner, is supposed to be on the other line. What are you doing, Charlie? You're supposed to be talking to me. He's not there.
Holy cow. Hold on just a second. I thought it was my phone.
I don't know what's the matter with our phones this morning, but it is a little frustrating. They're not hearing us, and I don't know why, and I hope we can rectify that. While I'm waiting, I want to remind everybody about Canyonside Irwin Realty. Don't forget serving all of Magic Valley, with offices all over the valley, Twin Falls, Jerome, Buell, Gooding, Hagerman, and Burley. Well, you can call the main office, and they can help you with your real estate needs and or wants, or give me a call. The office number is 734-6500, or give me a call at 312-2976. Let's try it one more time. Charlie, what are you doing? Why can't you hear me?
Well, because I'm a long ways away, I guess, and it's not snowing today.
Oh, okay. Well, I just got done introducing you as saying that tomorrow people in Jerome County and around the area are going to see you do something that they're not accustomed to seeing you do, and that's pick up a shovel and do some work.
Wow, that's a good one. Yeah, that'd be true. Yeah, turn some dirt.
Now, I understand that the brand new groundbreaking ceremony for the $11.2 million Jerome County Criminal Justice Facility is going to take place tomorrow. Tell us about it, where and when.
It is at 2 p.m., and our actual address is like 2151 South Tiger Drive, but the easiest directions is from the center of town, you go 1 mile east, and then 1.5 miles south. So it's basically 1.5 miles south of the Jerome High School.
Now, is this event open to the public?
Absolutely. We'd love to have the public come. They're the ones that put this project through and supported it all the way. And so, yes, absolutely. This ceremony is in honor of them, and I appreciate it.
All right, now, who are some of the dignitaries that are going to be there speaking on behalf of this new criminal justice facility?
Well, Lieutenant Governor Brad Little will be there. I got confirmation on that yesterday, and other dignitaries, nobody. We're just a public deal, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, the citizens of Jerome, I was reading your press release, and they finally put this one through after 4 previous attempts, and I know you were on the radio many, many times talking about this. You must be very proud and very satisfied that for the last couple of years, actually going on 3 years, finally you got this thing done.
Oh, I'm tickled to death. I couldn't be more excited to turn a shovel of dirt than I've ever been in my life. It's a great accomplishment for the county of Jerome, and I think it's just a good investment for the citizens, and I'm just tickled to death.
What about the facility, Charlie? Explain to my listening audience and a lot of your constituents in Jerome County and around the area, what is the facility going to look like, and why is it going to be different than most other facilities right here in the immediate Magic Valley?
Well, the biggest thing is obviously the safety, and of course we've got the newest technology that we can come up with to save on operating costs. It's going to be very electronically enhanced, I guess I would like to say. We're going to do LED lighting to hold down the operating costs. We've got it's laid out in such a manner that our staffing will not be as much as it is now. We're going to have more staff, but we're still not going to have. We're going to have a better ratio from staff to prisoners. So that'll keep costs down. We have a work release center for both male and female. We have a separate female facility, so we don't have to transfer people in and out. Currently, we load and unload inmates at the courthouse. From that jail, we take them out in the parking lot, and everybody can see them and drive by, and they can run off if they wanted to. And this new facility will have a sally port, as they call it, where they can load and unload in a secure area, and it's just so much better and so much cleaner and so much more efficient that it's going to be the prize of the Magic Valley.
Now, what's the estimated time of finish? Once you turn the dirt with the shovel tomorrow, Charlie, what are you looking at as a finish move-in date?
They're telling us they can do it in 12 months because they've already been ordering equipment and materials, and actually they've already started working on the groundwork like a week or 10 days ago, but we're saying 12 to 14 months we should have a completion time. Then we'll have a ribbon cutting, and as I said yesterday, I'm only one vote on the board, but I'd like to see us offer an overnight stay and try the commissary in the jail facility if the public would like to do that.
I bet you'd like to be the turnkey officer to let me in, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm assuming that we'll be able to let you out after we check your record.
All right, once again, tell us the time tomorrow and the location.
2 p.m., 1 mile east, a mile and a half south of the center of the town of Jerome. It'll be a very short ceremony. We've only got 3 speakers, Lieutenant Governor Brad Little, Sheriff McFall, and myself. As far as I know, the only 3 people scheduled to talk. It'll just be very short and sweet. There will be pictures of the jail facility, its final design and final colors, et cetera, for the site, and you can ask the architects and the engineers there any questions that you'd like to. But, yep, love to see the public come out.
All right. Charlie Howell, Jerome County Commissioner, and tomorrow, a big day, the ceremony, the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Jerome County Criminal Justice Facility. Charlie, God bless you, man, and thanks very much. Anything else you want to throw at us this morning?
Well, I did have a question. I was out passing flyers out yesterday in the Eden-Hazleton area, and I listened to John Wesley Hardin. Thought that was a great comment, and you said yesterday that he was the most feared man in the West, and I just wondered back then, and I just still wondered if he was the most feared man in the West today, or whether it was actually President Obama.
I don't think there's any cause for conversation. I know today for a fact that it's got to be Obama that covers all 50 states as the most feared man anywhere.
I agree.
All right.
But I appreciate it, Zeb, very much, and invite the public to come out and visit.
All right, Charlie Howell, thank you so much. Appreciate you being on the program this morning. God bless. Have a good day.
You bet.
Thank you. Good friend of mine, and has done a lot of work over the last couple of years in trying to get that Jerome County Criminal Justice Center started, and now it's been approved, and they're going to have the groundbreaking ceremony tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the brand new jail. Charlie Howell over in Jerome, we appreciate his being on the program this morning. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now, we'll talk about anything you want for the remainder of the program, whether it's the GOP caving to Obama on the amnesty vote or whatever it might be. Give us a jingle. I'd love to talk to you this morning. So, and you know, one other thing I wanted to mention here this morning, Gina, if you're right by your microphone, here we are on March the 3rd, and were you aware this morning when you went to work that 30 states in the 50 United States this morning were under a severe winter storm watch?
What's that again?
I said it's really odd when the liberals want us to consider about global warming, which they've changed the terminology now to climate change. But this morning when you were on your way to work and I was getting ready for this program, 30 of our 50 United States were under a severe winter storm watch warning.
Yeah, how's that global change working for you there?
And those poor people in Boston. Have you seen that mess?
But I know that they've just, the whole East Coast has just been pummeled this winter.
They've tunneled. Honestly tunneled from their porches to their streets to try to get on rapid transit or any buses that can get through finally. And they've got like 8.5 feet of snow in some places, and we're really drifted in. They've had 10 and 11 feet of snow. No hope of getting their own personal vehicles away from the street or the curb. It's a mess back there.
Yeah, that's, and honestly, I think that we could be using just a little bit more of that snow, but it's not global warming. There might be some sort of climate change, but that's just cyclical with either Earth's history, but, the globe ain't warming.
Well, as a matter of fact, for the last 19 years, and I have right here in my hand a graph that was put out by a nonpartisan group connected to some various think tanks with major universities in this country that said for the last 18-plus years, we've been on a temperature decline, where the temperature has actually started to show on a consistent basis that we're going into a cooling stage.
Yeah, and it's just, if you go back through the history of the Earth, This is just normal cyclical stuff.
Yeah. And you know, it's nothing more, I think, and I want your opinion on this, where you look at the government and you look at a great way to control the people, and you look at a great way to control their food, you look at a great way where they are forced to live because of a cooling planet and possibly their change of the clouds and the atmosphere, like they were talking about doing some seeding and everything to lower the temperatures. Gina, they could absolutely, with their liberalized thought, they could destroy societies and a lot of the agriculture that this world relies on.
Have you ever thought about maybe that's their ultimate agenda?
Absolutely. I believe that in my heart of hearts. I think I don't trust anybody on the left. I don't trust these people. I think even locally, like the editor that's finally going to leave this area with the Times News and go back into the Midwest so they can learn to hate him like we did, I think that kind of thought about, oh my goodness, we're all going to burn up and we've got to have global cooling and we need to seed the clouds and everything, I think they are doing nothing but destroying our society. And they're not God.
No, they're not. You've got a quick phone call.
Okay, thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Obama is only feared in two places, actually. That's the United States and Israel.
I think he's feared in more places than that. I don't know why you would just pick out those two, but I think Obama is feared for what he can do or won't do in a lot more places around the globe because people have learned not to trust this man.
Well, they sure aren't afraid of him in the Middle East.
Well, that's for sure. I couldn't agree with you more there. And thank you for your call. I do thank you. That's a true statement. Thank you.
Yeah, one more thing.
Yeah.
I called PETA and told them about you guys poking cows.
About what?
About you guys poking cows.
You know, Betsy.
Oh, okay. Well, you just go ahead and call PETA and have them at any time they want to come on the program and have a conversation. I'm more than willing and able to meet them head on. I'd love it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your call. Thank you. That's one group that I absolutely would love to have on the program in a debate. PETA. I have no use for those people. By the way, I'll poke the cow again. Are you ready? There we go. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll poke Betsy here.
Okay. Betsy's more mature.
Betsy is more mature. She's had a calf or two.
Betsy has a radiant glow to her moo, something that tells me she gets better alfalfa.
Well, we feed her well. And
do you?
She takes her vitamins, yes.
Okay. Do we have a caller?
Yes, you do.
Would you do me a favor and just have them stand by? I'm going to do the weather, and I'll take them right after the weather. Don't run away. I want to tell everybody about Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, where they sell taste one bite at a time. I had a couple of calls yesterday on my cell phone about that tax return meat package for only $300. I mean, you get beef, you get pork, you get chicken, you get cheese. Oh, my goodness. This is really a value, and it's delicious. Everything they sell is guaranteed. I mean, we're talking about beef patties. We're talking about rump roast. We're talking about New York steaks. We're talking about bacon. We're talking about brats. We're talking about chickens. We're talking delicious from Scarrows Meats. I'll tell you more in just a minute. Here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is at the ranch. Real simple with the weather for today. It's going to be sunny all the way through Sunday. The good news for today, but it really starts tomorrow. The temperatures are going to start to warm up, so you should be in the 60s by Saturday. Yeah, Saturday's a pretty good day. Sunday's not bad either. 40s for the high today, 29 for the all-night low, and then it'll start to warm up. You'll hit 51 for the high tomorrow, 55 for the high day after tomorrow. So enjoy the sun, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. And don't forget that tax return meat package for only $300 at Scarrows Meats. It's delicious. They sell taste one bite at a time. Call them 324-7657. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb. Hey, I'm a member of PETA. Eating tasty animal.
There you go. I would love to get some of those liberal groups on my program. I'd love to have them come right here in my studio. I'd love to sit here and just smile and smirk at them as they try to explain their platform. But unfortunately, Doug, my dear friend, they won't come.
They won't.
No.
They do not have a leg to stand on. They repeat and repeat and repeat. I think the Democrats send out an email to all Democrats, and this is the talking points today, and this is how we say it, and that's what they do.
Well, in the last hour, were you listening when Jack Euler was on?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. What Jack said was really the straight truth. A couple of years ago, we had called the Sierra Club and had invited them on the program for a discussion about their platform and some of their beliefs. And when I called this one person and made the invite, they said, well, they get back to me. And then they called back and they said that, A, they would come on the program only if they had 3 or 4 individuals, and only if it wasn't prejudiced against them, and only if somebody else was the host of the program as a moderator. And I said, wait a minute. You don't understand. I own this show, and I am the host. I am the moderator. Do you not have enough of faith in your convictions that you can meet me head on? I said, if you want to bring 3, if you want to bring 4, if you want to bring half a dozen, I don't care. I'll take you all on, but nobody is going to control the questions of the show but me. And they backed out.
Oh, well, they don't have a leg to stand on. They do not have facts. Their philosophy is do not confuse me with the facts my mind's already made up.
Well, and you know, the problem with the liberal left, and I see this now with the Democrats of yesterday, and I'm going to really keep bailing it into these people because I don't have respect for them, especially that newspaper article that was written by the black journalist Dwayne Wickham. I mean, turning the issue yesterday into a race-baiting issue. That was totally unprofessional. These people have a mindset that if you don't go along with them, they're going to destroy you. Well, I'll tell you what, start destroying, because I'm not going to go along with their garbage, and I'm going to fight them.
I'm right there beside you, buddy.
All right, Doug, thanks for your call. Appreciate it.
You bet.
God bless. Thank you. I just find the left to be so repulsive right now. I'm more than fair, I think, to most people, and if they've got a different viewpoint, they're more than happy to be invited on this program and sit here either in front of me or on a phone call, and we'll debate the issues. But for this guy that writes for the USA Today a column called Dwayne Wickham, and his journalistic column for the USA Today, it was so repulsive when I read this. It was nothing more than racism and race baiting. And if that's the kind of caliber that we have on the left, God help us all. It's terrible. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll do a commercial, and then hopefully you will give me a call and we'll discuss whatever you want for the remaining time on our program this morning. Don't forget, as I've been handed this information, there is a big spring tire sale going on right now at all 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab tire centers. All 7. Oh my goodness, all over the valley. Big tire sale, and they've got some tires on sale for passenger car tires that are starting as low as just $39.99. I'm not kidding. Great all-season traction, affordable pricing, starting at just $39.99. And then they've got, of course, the very, very best, like the passenger car tire, the Ultra Z900, all-season design, 60 to 80,000 mile warranty on sale right now. You better get in there. They've got the best tire value promise in the industry, and very convenient credit for tires and services at your Magic Valley Les Schwab tire centers. You stop in today and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab tire centers. All right, give me a call. By the way, I want to see if Gina's still there. I was going to ask her about this. Are you aware that today the Boston bombing trial for the one remaining Tsarnaev brothers starts? And I don't know what your thoughts are on this, young man, but I think they've already waived the death penalty. And I think he's going to possibly get, at the very worst, I hope it's worse than this, but I don't know, the life imprisonment without parole. But that trial starts today. What are your thoughts about whether he should get the death penalty or not?
Well, I think that honestly he should get the death penalty.
I do too.
Whether it'll be vetted out in general population of the prison.
You know, Gina, we're too soft anymore. There's no retribution paid to criminals for doing bad deeds to society. He and his brother, and also his brother's widow. There's another person that we don't hear a lot about. I would like to see her go on trial because she knew as much about what was going on as anybody did. And I think each and every one of these people should have been put up in front of a firing squad and eliminated a long time ago, and not at the taxpayers' expense.
Exactly. You know, honestly, I think this trial should be pretty much short and sweet, and I think he's already been convicted in the court of public opinion. Do I think he should get the death penalty? Absolutely. Now, I'm assuming he's being tried in Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. Does the state of Massachusetts honor the death penalty? Do they still have it on the books? Because I know that a lot of states have pulled it off.
I think they have waived it in this case, and the worst he can get, I believe, and I'll stand corrected on this if so, is life without parole, which to me is nothing more than giving this person a country club resort type atmosphere. He will get whatever he wants. He will be taken care of. He'll get all of his food. He'll get a free ride, health care, everything else. And I think at the taxpayer's expense, I think you're looking at in some of these eastern states for their prisons, I think it's running like close to $100,000 a year to house these prisoners, and this kid's only in his early 20s.
Well, I just look at it this way, and this is going to be very, very harsh for me to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. If he is convicted and the death penalty is waived and he is sent to prison for the rest of his life with no opportunity of parole, his life will be vetted out in general population.
And I couldn't agree more that it happens. The American public, you know, they're always playing the poor perpetrator of the crime after the fact. You know, I mean, when it goes to trial, they forget about the victims. Yeah. And then they look at this young guy about, 18, 19, 20 years of age, and they go, oh, this poor kid, he's got his whole life to live. He's nothing more than a killer. He's nothing more than a terrorist, as his brother was, and he should meet his Waterloo now. It should have happened months ago.
Well, you know, okay, so he's of the age of accountability. He is absolutely responsible for his actions. He knew the difference between right and wrong. He chose to do and go the wrong way, so therefore he has to pay for his actions, you know, and deal with the consequences.
What about the victims? What about the poor people that died? What about the people that lost their eyesight? What about the people that lost their arms? What about the people that lost their legs? What about the poor victims?
You know, and those victims will never get any sort of restitution or retribution or anything else until that young man and his life is put on trial and he's put to death. And honestly, I think that's just the way it's going to go. We do have 2 phone calls.
I'll take one for sure. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. I've only got a minute and a half left. Go ahead.
Is that me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, they worry so much about this death penalty. I say go back to the good old firing squad. You don't have to worry about any pain or nothing else. You got one shot and that's it.
I couldn't agree more. Al, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll take the other call. Caller, if you're there, go ahead, please, quickly.
I had to hang up on him. The phone was beeping.
Well, I'll tell you what. Tomorrow being Thursday already, we've got a busy day. We're going to have a lot of good folks on the first hour. We're looking at the Chamber Report. We've got a segment with Cordell Sheridan for his big bull sale. We've got, of course, Reed and Ramsey coming on. And don't forget at 10:30 tomorrow, and it's going to be a short, concise interview because she's got to leave. Joy Brighton is going to come on tomorrow, and we're going to be discussing Sharia-ism here in the United States and how it's getting worse and worse for the Muslims wanting to impose Sharia law. So don't miss that at 10:30 tomorrow. Until tomorrow morning at 8:06, we'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours. Zeb at the Ranch right here on KBAR, 12:30 a.m. Streaming live on the internet all over the world, ZebBell.com. The way things were, the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning. God bless.